In the sleepy mountain town of Moon Hollow, Virginia, there is a church with a crooked steeple. No one will say for sure how it got that way, but the reason the whole town gathers every decoration day to honor the dead. This year, there are two fresh graves up on the cemetery hill. The strangers come to town, and the mountain's song is filled with dark warnings. The good people of Moon Hollow are about to learn that some secrets are too painful to bear, and some spirits are too restless to stay buried. Lonesome Sound is written by one of my favorite authors, Jaye Wells. I want to say right off the bat that Jaye is great with opening lines. The Dirty Magic series especially has a lot of really awesome first lines, and Lonesome Sound is no exception, so I want you to take a listen here. The bear was crying again. Bears are widely recognized as some of the most terrifying and powerful animals in the animal kingdom. So having an opening line where it's saying the bear is crying, it kind of hints at what you're in for, which is a damn good story. Lonesome Sound is very different from the Dirty Magic and Sabina Cain series. It's very much a horror story. It's not urban fantasy at all. And our story sort of starts out with a writer who is in a slump. He's in a divorce and has had a lot of really hard times come upon him, but at the same time it's kind of deserved because we figure out he's sort of a selfish piece of shit, and he's decided to go to the town of Moon Hollow. And Moon Hollow is this very highly religious town, and the author Peter has come there to sort of get some inspiration because there's rumors that there is this very spiritual side to the mountains and the forests and the town itself. In fact, there's a ceremony called Decoration Day that the town holds every year, and it's very, very important that they hold this without any sort of interruptions, or otherwise bad shit will go down. What bad shit? The townspeople are kind of afraid to say, other than the fact that Deacon Fry, their lead religious leader, is very insistent that, hey, we need to make sure this thing goes perfect. This guy doesn't belong here. We need to get him the hell out of here. Even though Peter really isn't hurting anything, but oddly enough, the more that Deacon Fry sort of like pokes him and tries to get him to go away, the more curious Peter becomes, because we writers are pesky like that. I gravitated towards Peter almost right away, even though he isn't the main character. And it's funny that I almost perceived him as the main character at first, because I gravitated towards him and some of his struggles. But really the story follows a young woman named Ruby. Ruby is definitely the main character. After finishing the book, she's definitely the main character. She's the character that grows the most, that is obviously the most important to the story. She has a family history with the town, a very strange. She has sort of run away from her past, but yet she feels this pull towards nature and this protection and this protective side towards the bear in question that was crying at the very beginning of the book. And I don't want to give away too much because there's a lot of surprises and a lot of really, really gruesome stuff in this book. It's definitely a horror. It's very, very dark. But Jaye's identity is never lost in this book. What I love so much about her writing is that her sense of humor is present in every single book that I've read by her. Author identity is never lost, and it's a welcomed part of the story. And I think Jaye has a really great dark sense of humor that sort of peeks through in each book that she writes, and it's a nice breather between the chaos and the conflicts between the characters to get a good laugh, whether it's dark humor or light humor. And once shit starts really hitting the fan near the end of the book, you're hooked. I certainly was. I finished the last 150 pages within 2 days, if that, because I had to know what was going to happen. Because, I mean, really in this type of story, would you ever expect things to go according to plan? Like, oh, we're just going to have this ceremony and everything's going to be hunky-dory. It doesn't matter if there's a stranger in the town that the deacon keeps bothering and trying to get rid of. No. Things go wrong. Things go very, very, very wrong. Dead people are involved, I will say that. And the description of dead bodies. It feels like you can taste the maggots that are in their mouth. That's how good the description is. It feels like you are one of those dead people and that you can taste the very maggots eating away at your flesh. And I thought the transitions between characters was done very, very well. At the beginning of each chapter, she puts a name, and I think otherwise if that hadn't been included, jumping to between points of view would be kind of confusing at first. It would take you like, oh, okay, I'm from Peter's point of view now instead of Ruby's. But the inclusion of the name at each chapter is a welcomed addition. It's not lazy at all, and the transitions between each characters, it's clear who's talking. No character ever loses their identity, and even when you're in the head of one of the side characters like Deacon Fry, you're automatically interested. You're not like, damn, I really wish I was back in Ruby's head or Peter's head. And while Peter is definitely my favorite character, I think that Ruby's arc was the most satisfying, and not everybody has a good arc. And when I say by that is not everybody has a happy ending, and a lot of that is very, very satisfying because, man, some of these people are kind of crappy and weaselly, and all the characters are kind of like that. They're flawed. They're human. They're not just characters. They feel like real people who could have existed. So I would recommend High Lonesome Sound to fans of maybe Pet Sematary, or if you're a fan of Jaye's other works and you're not sure if this would be for you, have no fear. It's just as good as her other works. It's just as funny. It's just as dark. Her author identity is not lost at all. I thoroughly enjoyed High Lonesome Sound, and I'm excited to see what else she does with her career. And I'm excited to see what else she does outside of the urban fantasy genre, which I love all of these. Which I friggin' love these books. I friggin' love the Redhead Stepchild and Prospero's War series. They're some of my favorite series that I've written. They're some of my favorite series that I've ever read, and they're really, really good urban fantasy. But High Lonesome Sound is a welcome addition to the horror genre. I'd highly recommend it. So, what are you currently reading right now? What's your favorite book by Jaye Wells? Comment below, let me know. Make sure you follow her on Instagram and Twitter. I will link the conversation her and I had earlier this year. I had a great time talking to her about High Lonesome Sound, and it was really incredible to talk to somebody that I honestly look up to. She's my favorite urban fantasy author, and the fact that she was willing to talk to me not only once but twice, it really shows how cool she is, and that she's really, really willing to communicate with authors that are a bit newer to the game like myself. And thanks as always for watching. There will be more book reviews very, very soon. I have a lot of great books that I just finished, and I am about to release my fifth book, The Legacy, which is a horror thriller, and that will be available April 29th. Thanks as always for watching. Bye.